Welcome back. I'm Alaina. Why do I feel like a failure at work? In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to let that shiz go so you can live a life full of freedom. So stay tuned. First, we're going to unpack why you're feeling the way you're feeling right now, and it's probably not what you think. Then I'm going to share the real reason why 80% of startups fail within the first year and first 5 years. Then I'm going to share how your mind may actually be tricking you to believe the failure lie. Next, we're going to talk about the one thing that you're probably doing that is actually contributing to you feeling like a failure. And it's probably not your fault. And by the end of this video, you will have the tools to go from failing to winning in your business. So let's get started. Okay, so let's break down first. This is so important to understand what failure really is, because truthfully, there is no such thing as failure, right? It's a mistake, and there means there's always a learning experience from that. So what failure is you expected a particular outcome based on an action you took and you didn't get that outcome. That's all it is. You didn't get the outcome you expected. Now, not only do you feel like it was a failure, you feel like you're the failure, right? Because there's a tendency to internalize that failure and make it about us, make us feel like we're really the failure, and that's why it didn't work. But there's absolutely no truth to that. And so a lot of experts will say that the reason 80% of startups fail is because they run out of money. They don't actually, not to say that they don't have money, but they've given up, right? That's really the key. They've given up because they can't handle the cycle of what they feel like failure over and over and over again, and then they throw in the towel. Because there is I can tell you how many businesses I have helped go from massive struggling, even if they were making $500,000 a year, they were barely taking in $5,000 a month, right? So their businesses may have been producing a lot of revenue, but they weren't actually getting a lot of income from that business. And it's absolutely possible for you to turn your failures around and understand that they're really just learning opportunities. You're learning what didn't work. Now, there's this great story about Thomas Edison that you may have heard. And the story is that it took him 10,000 tries to figure out the filament of the light bulb. And when he finally did it at his press conference, there was an ornery press guy who said, "So you failed 9,999 times. And he's like, "No, I learned what not to do 9,999 times. And that is the key. All of those times that you were learning that didn't work, you were learning things about how to make it work. But if you internalize it as failure, then you're not able to get the learning. Right? So that is really the key. We are meaning-making machines. It is our subconscious job to keep us alive, to make meaning out of certain things. Is that experience going to keep me alive? Is that experience going to kill me? So we're constantly making meaning out of everything when in fact it's absolutely neutral. And I'll give you another little example. Let's say it's going to rain for 8 hours tomorrow, right? And now for somebody who was planning a parade, and for an entire year they were planning a parade, and the parade is tomorrow, it's literally raining on their parade. They're bummed out about it, right? They're not psyched that it's going to rain for 8 hours. All of that hard work they feel like is going to go up in smoke or up in the rain. But another farmer who has had a drought and hasn't gotten rained on, their crops haven't been rained on for 3 weeks, he is super psyched about it raining for 8 hours tomorrow. Same rain. It's just the meaning each of those people made about the rain that made that experience a positive experience or a negative experience. The rain itself is neutral. And that is the same thing with every circumstance that's happening in our life. And so, for example, there was one time I remember when I was really struggling several years back financially, and I thought I was going to land this client, and I was so psyched about it, and I didn't. And I was so disappointed. Oh, this is never going to happen. I'm never going to be able to get myself out of the hole I'm in. And a friend did a reframe for me, and she said, "Oh, that client self-selected themselves out." And I went, wow, like that's brilliant. Like that client wouldn't have worked for me for whatever reason, and they self-selected themselves out so I could allow another client who's a better fit for me. So if you want to take the struggle out of your business, make sure that you like and subscribe, because I am going to be giving you tons of valuable tips and strategies and exactly how to do that. Okay, so here's another reason. I call it a little bit of a disease, and it's called comparisonitis, right? And I've yet to meet somebody who doesn't compare themselves to other people. Now, there's a few things about it. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own network, their own experience, their own skills, their own values. And to compare yours to somebody else's is a lesson in futility. That's the first piece of it. Second of all, what typically you're seeing from other people are their highlight reels. People aren't telling you the struggles that they're going through. They're not telling you how many things didn't work for them before they finally hit the level of success. I can tell you in my own personal example how many failures I had over and over and over again. I went to a Van Gogh exhibit. It was called Beyond Van Gogh just a couple of days ago. And part of the reason he committed suicide is because he couldn't take failure, right? He just kept failing in what he was experiencing, different things he would try over and over again. And at the end of his life, his artwork finally started to take off, but he didn't stick around to experience it, to celebrate it, because he just could not deal with feeling like a failure. But they lead to those successes. They're just stepping stones for successes. You're either winning or you're learning. There is no such thing as failure. And honestly, if you're winning, you should be learning from that too. So when you realize that you stop comparing where other people are, like I have a client, and it's amazing because he has compared himself to, he's a financial planner, has compared himself to other financial planners and feels like so many people are so much further along and he should be further along. And he's a brilliant guy, has a strategy of financial planning that I've never seen before, because I have lots of clients who are wealth managers and financial planners. And it's really amazing that he was beating himself up constantly for not having attained the level of success that he really wants and think he should have already, right? And so in working together and helping him understand, again, the highlight reel thing of what he was seeing and how long it took other people to actually do it, he was literally able to triple his income in 30 days of working with me. And within 60 days, he had gotten 2 national television spots to speak on a news channel, and had also been rated in the top 4, both in his state and the nation, of financial planners, because he started to realize where he was and started to stay in his lane rather than trying to be in everybody else's lane at the same time. So we rarely grow up in an environment that allows for mistakes. Think about it when you're parents. Like, were you growing up, were mistakes like, oh, no problem, you spilled that, you knocked that over, you got that wrong, you came in late, whatever it was, like, was that okay? No, it was never okay. I know in my household, I got punished, hit, or grounded in my household. Mistakes were not okay, right? And so we grow up in an environment, you go to school, is it okay to make mistakes? Is it okay to talk in class? Is it okay to do anything other than what the teacher tells you to do? No, it is not okay, right? So our entire environments make mistakes not okay. So you just haven't been programmed to know that it's actually a part of life. It's actually what's meant to happen in life. And it's part of, again, you growing yourself, you growing the skills that you need, right? Because let's say tomorrow you want to learn a new language. Do you expect yourself to be fluent tomorrow? No, you cut yourself a break. And that's one of the things that I suggest to people. Like, if you've ever had a kid or had nieces and nephews that are learning to walk, do you shame them when they fall down when they're learning to walk? No, that would be insane, right? You know that they're going to get back up and try again. And that's the key here. Cut yourself a break. Speak kindly to yourself. Talk to to yourself as you would your best friend, your BFF. And when something didn't work out the way that you want, learn how to make reframes so you can reframe the experience like what my friend did for me, so you can turn that experience on its head. To understand how to scale your business properly, you really need to understand how to turn your team into A players. So tune into my next video where I'll show you what to do if a team member is trying to undermine you. Thanks, and I'm Alaina, and I'll see you on the next video.